Police officers see it all. They are the guardians of our society, the ones who run toward danger when everyone else runs away. They're trained to be skeptical, to look for facts, evidence, logical explanations. What happens when the evidence makes no sense? What happens when what they see defies all logic? These brave men and women are sworn to protect and serve, but, they're not really trained for encounters with the other side. They're prepared for criminals, for danger, for the worst of humanity. But they're not prepared for the disembodied voices, the shadow figures, the chilling presence of something that just shouldn't be there. These are the moments that test their courage in a way no training manual ever could. Imagine being on a late-night patrol. The streets are empty, the world is asleep. It's just you, your car, and the quiet hum of the radio. Suddenly, something happens. A flicker of movement where there should be none. A voice from an empty room. A feeling of being watched by unseen eyes. These aren't stories from a horror movie. These are real reports from real officers of the law. They're documented events that have left seasoned veterans questioning their own sanity. In these moments, logic fails. The rule book is useless. All they have is their instinct and the chilling realization that, they're not alone. Highway 666. The name alone sends a shiver down your spine. Now officially renamed U.S. Route 491, this desolate stretch of road New Mexico, Colorado, Utah has a dark reputation. Officer Jackie F. on routine patrol late one night. The moon was hidden behind thick clouds. The desert was cloaked in an unnatural silence. Suddenly his headlights caught a vintage car speeding down the highway, weaving erratically. Concerned, he switched on his lights and siren to pull the vehicle over. But the car didn't stop. It accelerated, reaching impossible speeds for a vehicle of its age. The officer pushed his own patrol car to its limits, but he just couldn't close the distance. He was locked in a high-speed chase with a ghost from the past. The pursuit continued for several miles. The officer radioed for backup, his voice tense as he described the situation. The phantom car was real enough to be seen, to be chased, but it seemed to defy the laws of physics. Just as suddenly as it appeared, the car swerved and vanished. It didn't crash. It didn't turn off the road. It just disappeared into the thin desert air, leaving the officer alone on the empty highway with his heart pounding in his chest. He stopped his car, got out and scanned the horizon. There was nothing. No tire tracks, no debris, no sign that another car had ever been there. It was a complete impossibility. When he filed his report, he was met with knowing looks from the older officers. He wasn't the first to chase that ghost car, and he wouldn't be the last. Some believe it's the spirit of someone who died in a tragic accident on the highway, forever doomed to repeat their final moments. Others whisper that it's something more sinister, a demonic lure on the devil's highway. Prisons and jails are places of intense human emotion, fear, anger, despair, violence soak into the very walls. It's no surprise these places are considered paranormal hotspots. Old Midsomer Norton Police Station, Somerset, England, built in the late 1800s. Its holding cells have seen countless souls. For years, night shift officers reported strange occurrences. Footsteps echoing in empty hallways, doors slamming on their own, sudden inexplicable cold spots. The worst activity centered in the old Cellblock. Officer David S., a skeptic on duty one evening doing paperwork. The station was quiet. Only one person held, for drunk and disorderly. Suddenly a call came through on the internal intercom from the Cellblock, a faint, desperate whisper. "Let me out. Please. It's cold." Officer S. was puzzled. The detainee had been boisterous an hour before. This pleading voice didn't match him. Officer went back to check, footsteps echoing. He reached the cell. The detainee was fast asleep, snoring. He was alone. The story of the ghostly hitchhiker is a classic urban legend told in different forms all over the world. Bluebell Hill, Kent. The legend feels terrifyingly real. The area has had numerous fatal accidents. A horrific crash in 1965 killed 3 young women. Since then, drivers report a lone female figure on the side of the road, trying to hitch a ride. Police get countless calls, but when they arrive, she's gone. This isn't just folklore, it's in official police reports for over 50 years. One credible account is from a police officer in the 1990s. He drove his patrol car on a cold, misty night and saw a young woman step into the road. He slammed on his brakes, he jumped out to check for a victim, there was no one there. He searched the road, he searched the ditches, he searched the surrounding woods. No body, no blood, no sign of anyone at all. He was completely baffled. He knew he'd seen her, right there in his headlights. A few miles later, he saw her again. She was sitting in the middle of the road, looking at him with sad, empty eyes. Her face was pale and she looked injured. As he got closer, she faded away into the mist. Abandoned buildings are magnets for paranormal energy. The decay, the silence, the memories of what once was, it all creates an atmosphere thick with possibility. Abandoned hospitals are on another level entirely. They are places of birth and death, of joy and suffering. Officer Miller and Officer Davis were dispatched to a derelict hospital on the edge of town. Reports of strange lights and noises, likely teenagers. They entered through a broken door, flashlights cutting the dark. The air was stale and cold. Crunch of broken glass under their boots, the drip of water from a leaky pipe echoing through the halls. They began a systematic search, clearing floor by floor. No signs of intruders. In the old surgical wing, Miller's beam caught something at the far end. A tall, dark figure, a solid black mass absorbing the light, shaped like a person with no discernible features. It stood motionless, watching. Both officers froze.
"Police, show me your hands."
The figure didn't respond. It didn't move. A silent, menacing presence. The officers drew their weapons. Then the impossible, it glided backward, moving through a closed door as if it weren't there. They approached, opened the door. An empty supply closet. The figure had vanished. Highways at night are, really lonely places. For police officers on patrol, the endless miles of dark asphalt can become, almost hypnotic. But on the M6 motorway in England, officers have reported encounters that are anything but monotonous. One patrolman's story really stands out. He was working a late shift, monitoring traffic on a quiet section of the M6. It was well after midnight and the road was nearly deserted. As he was parked on the shoulder, he heard a faint sound over the hum of his engine. It sounded like a child crying. He initially dismissed it as the wind or maybe just his mind playing tricks on him. But the sound grew louder, more distinct. It was the unmistakable sound of a young boy sobbing, seemingly coming from the grassy embankment just beyond the guardrail. You would think a police station would be, the last place to be haunted. It's a modern building, a place of order, logic, authority. But in Hampton, Virginia, officers at the city's public safety building have reported a series of bizarre and unexplainable events for years. The activity is so well known among the staff that the building has earned a reputation for being haunted. Officers have reported everything from phantom phone calls to seeing objects move on their own. The activity seems to center around the records room and the 911 dispatch center, places that operate 24 hours a day, staffed by officers who are trained to be observant and reliable witnesses. One of the most common occurrences is the phantom 911 call. Dispatchers will see a line light up on their console, indicating an incoming call from an internal phone line within the building, often from an office that is known to be empty and locked. When they answer, there is only static or silence on the other end. They send an officer to check the room, and every time they find it empty and secure. These calls happen at all hours, with no logical explanation. First responders, including police, firefighters, paramedics, are no strangers to tragedy. They're the first to arrive at scenes of horrific accidents, and they witness human suffering on a daily basis. These scenes are charged with intense emotion, panic, pain, loss. A state trooper in the rural Midwest was the first to arrive at the scene of a single-vehicle rollover crash on a deserted country road. The car was mangled and the driver had been tragically killed on impact. As the trooper approached the wreck, he saw a woman standing next to the driver's side door. She was calm, almost serene, and looked completely unharmed. He assumed she was a passenger who had managed to get out of the car. She simply looked at him with a sad smile and pointed toward the driver. It was only after a few minutes that he realized the woman was gone. He later saw a photograph of the driver's wife, who had passed away from cancer several years earlier. It was the same woman he had seen standing calmly by the wreck. The stories we've explored are more than just campfire tales. They are documented accounts from some of the most credible witnesses imaginable. Police officers. These are individuals trained to observe, report, and remain objective in the face of chaos. Their job demands a firm grasp on reality. So when they report experiences that defy logical explanation, a phantom sedan on a desert highway, whispers in an empty cell, a ghostly figure at a crash scene, we have to listen. These accounts are often dismissed or hidden away for fear of ridicule, but they represent a fascinating intersection between the known world and the great unknown. They challenge our rigid definitions of what is real and what is possible. These paranormal encounters have a profound and lasting impact on the officers involved. For many, it's a life-altering event that shatters their skeptical worldview. They are confronted with a reality that their training never prepared them for. A situation where their authority and their understanding of the rules no longer apply. This can be isolating and deeply unsettling, yet for some it can also be a source of comfort, like the officer who saw the spirit at the accident scene, offering a glimpse of something beyond the pain and tragedy they witness so often. These experiences force them to confront the deepest questions about life, death, and what comes after. For society, these stories serve as a powerful reminder that there are still mysteries in our world. They validate the experiences of countless ordinary people who were afraid to speak out. If a trained, skeptical police officer can see a ghost, it makes the idea more believable for everyone. It opens a door to a wider conversation about consciousness energy and the possibility that life doesn't simply end when the body dies. Ultimately, these chilling police stories matter because they come from the front lines of human experience. These brave officers protect us from the dangers we can see, but their stories give us a rare and chilling glimpse into the dangers and the wonders that remain unseen.